This episode is brought to you by Soxsense Toe Socks. Toe socks that are designed for comfort, balance, and healthy movement. Head on over to Soxsense.com, use the code Stretch2Go on your order, and now let's head on to today's episode.
All right. Welcome to the Stretch2Go Podcast. My name is Ian Ray, your host. Today I have Leslie Morrison,
Hi.
CEO and founder of Little Love Bug, based out of Portland, Oregon. Leslie, welcome to the Stretch2Go Podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here, finally.
Yes, finally. So let's dive in. Little Love Bug, what is the name behind it? Why did you come up with that name to start your barefoot shoe brand?
My kids were very much a part of the inspiration for the company in and of itself. And so I always called my kids either Bug, Little Love Bug. And it just kind of, when I was trying to figure out what to name the company came about, I wanted something that was easy for people to remember. And it's stuck and I love it. I love LLB. I love Little Love Bug Company and still call my kids Bugs. So
Yeah. And what year was it that you started your brand, your company?
I started in August of 2017.
Okay, so not even 10 years, and it's grown to a point where you have quite a following.
Yeah. It grew very quickly, far quicker than I had anticipated, which has had its growing pains, but it's taken off and it's been an incredible journey. So yeah.
Do you know like what caused it to grow like rapidly quick? Like what was it that like, I don't know, caught attention of moms and other, people who
You know,
into
I don't know. I think when I first started, and this might be completely incorrect, but when I first started, Instagram was still a newer thing. And so obviously like the algorithm, all of that stuff was very different. And so what started the following to be very big on Instagram, quite honestly, was I didn't just talk about barefoot shoes, but also my experience as a mom. And I think I didn't really think about people actually reading my stuff. And I was very, therefore, transparent and honest about my experiences as a mom, whether it was anxiety, depression, postpartum, all of that stuff. I used to very much, before the videos got big and whatnot, I used to very much talk openly about my experience as a mom. I love being a mom. It's my main identity. But even that aspect of things was something that I touched on, was that I also didn't want to lose myself as a mom. And I think a lot of people could relate to a lot of this stuff at that point that I was discussing and putting out there in the world. I was the person who said that I did not have a picture perfect life. I still don't. So, yeah, but we're all here doing our best. And I think people related to that. And I've met absolutely amazing people along the way because of Instagram. So, yeah.
So obviously being like super transparent and, not hiding, or I guess your true feelings and your thoughts, just pouring it out there, right? And that kind of probably resonated with a lot of, I guess, moms or single moms or whatnot.
Yeah, well, I didn't start out as a single mom.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that just even the transition into being a mom is such an identity changer that talking
Yeah.
about that itself was I think a pretty big sticking point for people originally.
Okay. So how about barefoot shoes? Like, what was it that got you into creating barefoot shoes? Or like, did you always want to get into barefoot shoes, or like, what was it?
No, so listen, I wanted to be a mom. That was like my thing. And I had originally been in sales prior to my children, coffee sales, actually.
Really?
Yeah, so I worked with Starbucks, Seattle's Best Coffee, Pete's, all like the major brands, Tully's, Keurig. Yeah, so I was heavily involved in that with a sociology degree because I wanted to work with kids. I'm literally all over the place. But for the barefoot thing, it was random. To this day, I don't really know how all of it took place other than I went into a store and I was shopping around for shoes for my kids. And I overheard a salesperson talking to a couple about how important it was for kids to be in flexible wide box. And truthfully, I didn't even know at the time what like a wide toe box was.
Hmm.
And I literally just kind of overheard this conversation and came home and started the research. From there, I realized I'm fairly little and therefore my kids are very teeny tiny. I had a really hard time at the time finding anything that fit the idea of a barefoot shoe. Moccasins were big at the time. But I live in Oregon. It's rainy, it's slippery, and so moccasins didn't work. They would shred like immediately and they were expensive. And so I just kind of decided for whatever reason that I would try to make something different. So I literally started with making shoes for my daughter and my neighbor's daughter, and it kind of just went from there.
So was there like a first prototype that you made?
Like a legit, I wish I would have kept them. They've got to be here somewhere. Like a legit
The
Moccassin, but everything that I wanted from the very beginning was flexible. I wanted a wide-toed box and I wanted something non-slip on the bottom because that was my biggest pet peeve was the fact that if I had them in something that was moccasin-esque that they would slip. So I put in the what I now have still, which is the original non-slip sole. So it's a leather bottom with a little silicone piece at the front and then at the back so that the kids don't fall. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. That's
And then it's
interesting.
just grown from here as I've learned more, as I've gone through this experience. I continue to alter the bottoms of the shoes in themselves, the designs. I'm very into taking feedback from my customers. And so what, for instance, you have in front of you there is the Play Perfect Sole. And that's been a huge, huge, I mean, parents have loved those. So yeah, just continue. And hope to continue to make changes that work best for kids and go against big box brands that are doing pretty much the complete opposite of what I do. So
Yeah. I guess I was gonna a follow-up question about when you got into creating shoes. So you're hand making your shoes.
no, so I've never handmade them. I could. I love to sew. I'm a creative by nature.
Uh-huh.
Um, but all of the shoes are made. I've designed all of them. I basically sit down and draw them old school. I'm not fancy in any way, shape, or form. I don't do like 3D rendering. I probably should learn how to do it, but we're talking like sit down, drawing out, sketching, coloring with crayons because I'm awesome, and going old school route. So yeah.
How how does all your inspiration and like ideas come from? Is it just from past patterns or like you're taking from customer feedback? Because you have quite a collection that you
So
have.
right,
So,
some of the stuff that you have in front of you,
mhm.
actually, so a lot of my team has been with me for years now. I got to a point last year where I very much wanted to break out into more designs and more creativity. I felt like we were, I don't want to say stuck in a rut, but kind of felt like it. Like I felt like we were producing the same stuff over and over again. And I wanted a reason to open up new ideas, new designs. So I actually offered to my team if they wanted to have a hack at the creative side, I would give them bonuses. They're all very much motivated by competing against each other. I don't think I even needed to financially support this idea. But they came back with lots of ideas. So actually quite a few of the ones that you have there in front of you are from not me, but my employees. So the Alexes that you have there are from me, the pink and ones. The Snug Bug boots are from Tyron. He's in South Africa. And then those are the Cole, and that is from Allison, who is our photographer and leads all the like drops.
No way. That's such a random, like, from different aspects of your team. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I am not your typical, if you have not figured this out yet, I am not your typical CEO. So I'm here for all the things. And I think they had a blast doing it. And I am super proud of them for, it was so cute to see how everybody did different things. Tyron was very
Mhm.
professional and had like a full blown presentation. The Coles, I think, were just random pictures. And then I had people that like had hand drawn on like art type stuff on their, like, it was just a vast majority of like anything and everything pooled together. So it was a fun project. And I
Okay.
think that'll continue. So, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. And that kind of gives, I guess, more of the, like, your employees are really in into, I guess, creating more awareness and, like, even giving feedback of like what they think would, look good. Obviously, it's your branding, your company, but like having employees stand behind what you're doing, like, this gives them a identity. Like, oh yeah, I've helped a lot. I've helped in, with the mission of Little Love Bug.
I think actually almost everybody who works for me, I'm trying to think, almost all of them actually started out as customers. So, and in fact, Shelby, who runs our Facebook and all our Facebook stuff online, she was somebody who was a customer that I actually reached out to because she was so adamantly in love with Little Love Bug that I was like, dude, why don't you just come work for me? And she's been now with the company nearly from the start. So she probably calls herself one of the OGs. So, and she is. So
Mhm.
I
So she like
dragged her in.
so she like picked up and moved up to Portland.
No, so
Oh,
I
okay.
I am the only one in Portland. Part of my shtick is that I prefer to hire moms.
Hmm.
So we are a female team at this point. Um, so everybody is pretty much spread out truthfully throughout the world.
That's
Um,
cool.
and so everybody, my thing is, which is what I wanted to do for myself, was be able
Hmm.
to raise my kids and then work when I needed to work. And that's kind of my same thing for my employees. I want them to be able to raise their kids and then work when they can work and get their job done, which is great, but also get to do what they want to do with their children. So that's kind of my structure of business.
Yeah, I think good to have less burnout and more like loyal people, like, because they know your value and they align with what you value too. So I think that's awesome.
I think that people underestimate the ability of moms' multitasking brains. And I think that I've been able to really I love being able to see the moms create. It gives them another outlet for creativity and for just using a different part of their brain other than just raising their kids. Not to say that, you know, raising kids is not enough, but like for women, to get that opportunity to do both has been one of the joys of Little Love Bug for sure.
Mm. So I guess for what you've done, obviously, having been on multiple, I guess, places, whether online or I guess, where do you get all your like press releases and like people being able to have your brand out onto national news outlet and stuff? Like, how did that all come about too?
Listen, I don't know how I come across anything. People reach out to me. Like the People magazine was somebody actually who wanted barefoot shoes for her daughter. And then from there, it's just kind of uh, people find me, I guess, mostly on Instagram and reach out to me and goes from there. So I've had some awesome, awesome stuff that's been released, and that's definitely been a fun part of the journey. So yeah.
Okay. Um, and then for you, like, did you have to transition yourself into barefoot shoes? Because like you created it for your kids, but then like for yourself. Because like
Yeah, because I felt
that's
like a liar for a long time, right? Like, and I was learning about as I learned, and in fact, like I became that annoying person. I'm here not far from some very large corporate shoe brands.
hmm
And so a lot of my friends and family members actually also design shoes.
oh,
Ironic. Yeah. So that has been a fun experience. But as I learned more about barefoot shoes and what it does and all of the different benefits, I became that probably annoying squeaky wheel to like my family members, for instance, on transitioning into barefoot. I transitioned into barefoot. I currently have Vivos on right now. That's what I was at the gym in. But it takes some time to transition into barefoot. It was also a different experience because I've always loved shoes. So to go from the more mainstream, I remember the first pair, gosh, what were they? The first pair I got, I took a picture and sent it to my trainer and was like, "Oh my gosh, these look like clown shoes. I can't wear these." But then as you wear them and you get used to them, you start to notice the difference in a lot of things. And once you then try to put those big box brand name shoes back on your feet, you are like, "Oh my, how did I even do this?" They hurt, and it's really hard to go back to wearing any sort of like what society would consider the typical shoe. So I don't.
I think it took me. I mean, it's it took me what 2 years now. So I have 2 years into barefoot shoes. So like even myself, like yeah, I still have to like transition and like
Mhm.
work on my foot strength too. So I think it's the years, 30 plus years of like wearing that conventional narrow toe box shoes. I mean, it's a fix. You have to
It is
fix a whole bunch.
Yeah, it's not one of those things. I think that a lot of people, especially people that I've given a hard time about, those that I love the most,
hmm
um, that the expectation, especially if you're using it for anything like running or I don't even know, hiking, jumping, those sort of things, like the idea for most people, they're like, they don't understand, or I mean, I didn't even understand how hard it is to transition from a typical shoe. Listen, I used to wear Hokas. So, like, to transition to a barefoot shoe was like, you think that it's not going to be a big deal and you don't think that it's going to change that much. And then you do it and it's a bit mind-blowing. Like, I just remember complaining even of like, "Oh my gosh, my feet hurt." Like, they were sore, and my running completely changed because a heel strike versus toe strike completely changed. Like, there's so many things, and you learn how to move in your feet
hmm
in a natural way that you didn't realize you weren't doing. And so it takes a lot more time than and I knew even that it would take about 6 months is what I thought. because that's where I read everywhere online. I would say it takes way longer than 6 months to finally get to that point where you're like, okay, yeah, like I'm good now.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, even to this day, I have to like constantly roll up my feet, work on my big toe, like making sure my pinkies are like my pinky toes are not curved in, because that pinky toe, it's curved in. It's from wearing shoes, and I'm like, oh dang, that's bad. Like, and
Okay, listen, the barefoot shoe thing compared to like sports, if you did any sort of sports, I was a
yeah,
dancer, right? So for me to go from like point shoes, for instance, to now figuring out how to have the toe splay, like the correct toe splay, the natural toe splay is like an experience. Having daughters who, my oldest is a dancer, she's on the same dance team that I was growing up. It's hard to watch them put on shoes that are damaging their feet, and that's what it is. My youngest is a cheerleader, and that's my next goal, is to hopefully tap into some of the sport shoes that completely wreck our children's feet and completely destroy them by the time they're adults, because I see it, I watch it, and it's really hard to watch.
yeah. So I mean, obviously, like your kids aren't wearing barefoot shoes when they're doing their sport because there isn't options, correct? Right?
Yeah, so they don't have the option to, so I've actually even talked to the cheer director, and once I'm going to test some new cheer shoes and hopefully introduce it that way. And then probably, honestly, one of the things that I'd also like to really tap into is soccer shoes. I cannot stand
Mm-hmm.
I go in the stores and see soccer shoes, they drive me absolutely bonkers.
Yep.
So, I would love to get my hands in there, and if I can have some sort of impact in helping at least even one team's feet, I would absolutely love that. So, those are kind of like my next goals when I have, time, which, as you well know, I have a ton of it, so.
Okay, so we're talking about kids' feet because like your brand is all about kids shoes. So let's talk about the importance of setting the foundation correctly, especially shoes. We know obviously if you're newborn, like getting them to just be barefoot so they can work on their intrinsic muscles and being balanced and whatnot. But when is typically the right time that you think kids start to get into shoes? Is it when they start walking, or like what age typically that you recognize?
So it kind of depends on the family. It kind of
Hmm.
depends on the kids. It depends on where people live. My goal was to be able to offer shoes to kids that needed them, right? Um, the reality is we can't be barefoot everywhere. And so to give the option of the shoes that don't mess up their feet was my goal. And feet, I don't think parents understand that it's super crucial, especially for the first 2 years. I mean, they come out with, and by come out, I mean newborns come out with, I think the stat is like 98% plus perfect feet.
Yeah.
We, as a society, then destroy their feet by cramping them in shoes, by cramping them in super tight socks. And so for me, the goal is to get the message out that while they still have those perfect feet, to allow them, especially in the first 2 years, which is like the most crucial, but really up to the age of 14, which ironically I knew even as a dancer that 14 was like the point when our feet are finally fully fused. But to give as much option to allowing kids' feet to grow the way that they should and have the bones grow the way they should without restriction, allowing them to have better balance, allowing them to have their joints and their muscles all aligned correctly. There's just so much that impacts the body as a whole, starting from our feet. And if we give that option to kids, hopefully the goal is their feet are able to grow naturally, setting them up for a better future, complete body when they're adults.
Yeah. Um, I guess one thing about, like, I guess this isn't like the earlier years, like you're talking about how their foot is still not, it's still forming, like they don't have much bones, or like, I forget what the terminology is, but it's still where the foot is, it's still growing, obviously, but like that's the best time because it's, I don't know how to explain this. I might have to, I'll have to go back to this, but
So we have the most bones in the body
hmm
are in the feet.
okay.
And if you were to take a little, like a baby's foot, they're like fat and cartilage.
Thank you. Yes,
And
that's what I'm
yeah,
trying to. Yeah. Okay.
so the foot, in fact, they actually don't even come out with arches. So the arches is something that the the body naturally develops on its own. So the tendons, the muscles, the bones, the arches in and of themselves, all of those things, if we actively allow their foot to create on their own, they will. What happens is we as a society, especially older generations, have been told, make sure that they have arch support. Well,
hmm
arch support, then the arch isn't going to create on its own. So if you have a little like rounded toe box, then their toes are going to scrunch in. And that's then what causes bunions and all of these things that we could actually not have as a society, we have because we've done it to ourselves, whether it's the raised, and listen, my kids are divas, like they want all the trends. Like I look at the Uggs that have like huge platforms, all the things, right? But it's like it's actually so bad for our kids' feet. And I think as a society, it's not that obviously parents want to do what's best for their kids. We just assume that it's what's best because that's what everybody does. When in all reality, everybody's actually more after fashion
hmm
than for the actual health. And so I think for Little Love Bug, my goal was to like kind of enmesh the two. My favorite thing is when I tell people that I own a barefoot company, they're like, "Oh, you mean like with those like, the finger separators on the toes, or like they think of like elf shoes or whatever." But my goal was to make it so that my kids even wanted to wear the shoes. I wanted to have something that still was trendy, still was cute, still something that they wanted to wear, but still met the scientific aspect of a barefoot sole shoe that allowed for proper development.
Yeah, I think like I want to say like a lot of my clients who have kids who are middle school kids, like their middle school kids are savages. I mean, with peer pressure and like not peer pressure, but like just like their peers, like they're always looking at what kind of kicks you have. And I remember middle school. I didn't like middle school, but
Neither
it's
did I.
just
It's hard.
that's just how it is. Yeah. But I could see that. I could see that as far as like kids not wanting to, wear barefoot shoes. But like if you, I guess maybe put them into shoes and that's all they knew growing up, maybe that wouldn't be the case. So like for me, it's like I have my two girls, so I'm like, it's only been 2 years that they've been wearing barefoot shoes. So hopefully, if I continue along this path, that's all they
That's
know is that barefoot shoes, right?
yeah.
So yeah, and like I said, the fashion, I mean, it's shoes is all about fashion. It's, I guess, from what, people know what a shoe is, but they just don't know the importance of the function. And that's one thing I want to kind of follow up with that because yes, you have fashionable with the functional. So like when you're talking to parents or when you're, creating shoes, what are some of the aspects that parents should look for in a shoe that makes it the right barefoot shoes, I guess. But what kind of aspects do you
So
typically point
my
out?
my biggest push would be the wide toe box. If anything else fails, my biggest push is the wide toe box. It allows for the natural foot splay that gives you so many different benefits, whether it's balance, grip, bone correctly forming, all of those things. The wide toe box is like where it's at. It's my jam. That's one of the biggest issues in modern day shoes is everything's round and small and little, cramping feet. That's causing bunions. That's causing all sorts of things. The next is having a zero drop, and zero drop is basically not a heel raise, not a toe raise. It's going to be something that's completely flat. So that gives the body, again, ability to correctly line up the knees, the back, everything, right? So if
Mhm.
you're putting a heel, for instance, on a little girl's shoe, and it's cute, sure, but it's raising everything. So it throws off the body alignment, which then affects the knees, the back, just the overall body alignment. Then the next thing would be a flexible sole, just so that the muscles, everything on the shoes allows their feet to still structurally bend as they would naturally as a barefoot kiddo. Those are my big, yeah.
I love that. That's definitely something, like I said, shoes don't have. Whether if you're going to the closest shoe store or consignment store, you don't. It's. I've never seen barefoot shoes that. Maybe it's usually on Facebook Marketplace that you see people reselling barefoot shoes, but never at
Barefoot shoes
any.
are hard to get a hold of.
Uh huh.
And truthfully, again, I'm in the land of shoes here. Um, I mean, this is land of Nike, Adidas, I can't even think of all of them, but like everybody's kind of like here. And I love getting in arguments with Nike employees just because the attempt even, and tell me if I'm not allowed to say these things, but the attempt even at this point for like they'll be so proud. They'll be like, "Oh my gosh, this shoe was released and it's totally like barefoot-esque." I'm not going to name names, but they're so not barefoot-esque. And I still don't understand how I mean, I get it. Marketing is a big thing, but being able to spin some of the things that we test a lot of shoes. I'm very much into training, and I'm very I do high rocks, all of that, and all of these various companies will come in to test their shoes, and I'm always like, I am not the person to test your shoes. I promise. Like, don't try me because you're not going to like what I have to say. So, it's just interesting because they are, though, like true barefoot shoes are hard to find, especially as an adult. Obviously Little Love Bug is there for kids, but as an adult, it's hard and they're expensive. So it's hard to transition all your shoes.
Yeah. Um, I'm sure, like you say, that's the fun part is convincing your family to switch into barefoot shoes, or like how letting them know, like, maybe your foot issues does stem from your foot, but they don't, like, my mother-in-law, she has bunions, but does she want to
Yeah.
switch into barefoot shoes? I don't think she wants to, but I tell her, well, I mean, it's not a genetic thing. I think it's from your high heels and sandals that you wear,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And it's one of those things that people, like I said, maybe the older boomers or people older, they just don't see that. But
It's not, truthfully, it's not even older. It's
uh-huh.
like it's so I think I've been at it a long time. I've transitioned my mom into barefoot shoes.
Okay.
Um, and then my best friend's husband, I've been able to transition him into barefoot shoes, which for him has said it has been a game changer. Um, but for the most part, it's really hard to help people understand actually how important it is and how, like Hoka's, for instance, like that is like the old person's shoe. My dad wears them, and he thinks that that's normal. Sorry, my dogs are barking. Because that's what we've told the older generation. You need, to walk on clouds. You need to have all this arch support. You need all of this like cushion, when the reality is actually opposite. You want to help your knees, you want to help your hips, you want to help your back, you should be in barefoot shoes. Fortunately, the message has been for such a long period of time that actually, oh no, you need extreme cushion, you need arch support, otherwise your arches are going to collapse. Well, your arch is never going to firm up and do what it's naturally supposed to do without it. So it's hard to convince people, truthfully, until they do it, and they've done it a while.
So where do you see the future barefoot shoes as a space evolving in the future?
I truly believe that humans want to always do what's best for health. I think that's something that when the knowledge is there, I do think that eventually barefoot shoes will be it's already a more normal thing. It's just transitioning the cool factor, right? Like, it's really easy to walk into a gym and wear the latest like Nikes or the latest Adidas, and they're great at marketing. But I can say now, walking into the gym, even the gym that I belong to, there's a generation of humans who are looking to be the healthiest standard that they can be. And I can walk in and pick out all of the different people who wear barefoot shoes. And I do think it's something that's going to grow. Maybe not for everyone. At some point, and I don't want to say this too loud because I don't want to like jinx myself, but at some point I would like to think that some of the bigger brands will pick up on it and focus more of their science and engineering for barefoot shoes versus purely fashion. I think it would be very smart for that. They can call me Nike. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I do think it's a space that'll grow.
Okay,
I'd like to
cool.
think.
Yeah. Okay. And how about as far as like creating more brand awareness and exposure, what are you doing to create more brand awareness and exposure for Little Love Bug?
I'm on Target, so we sell through Target, and just in general marketing. But quite truthfully, I think the best marketing that I have, and you kind of asked this earlier, like how did it expand so quickly? I think moms are the best marketing, period. They're at, playgrounds, and I think, or wherever they might be. And it's a topic at this point, right? Like, that people will talk about, and then the moms recommend me from there, and it just kind of grows from there. And I have a very loyal customer base. Typically, if I have people purchasing my shoes, they will stay with me for years.
And because you have from sizes how young till how old again?
So I have sizes from 2, which is like pretty much the youngest you should have shoes on, kiddos, all the way up through what would be for it. Again, it depends on the kids, but 3Y. So, and that's been more recent just because of demand of people who have been with me for years and years, wanting me to continually extend sizes. So we're testing the market still. It's hard. It's hard once you get out of the elementary school. The kids now have their opinions and they want to wear the trendy trends. So we're testing the market, which truthfully has gone pretty well. So as long as it continues to go well, we'll continue to come up with new concepts, new soles, new designs, and try to keep them as trendy looking as possible for those middle schoolers on up. So who knows? Maybe adults at some point. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, as long as the big brands don't come in and ask you for your help or something.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Then I love Little Love. I love every aspect. So I am here to stay. People have asked if I'll sell, and I will probably not sell just purely because honestly, it's a huge community that I have just grown to absolutely love. And I can't say goodbye to that. Not now anyway.
Yeah. Um, Last but not least, what are some of the upcoming collections? I know these are some of the newer collections, the spring summer, but any other spring summer collections that are coming out now that you can kind of talk about, I guess.
Yeah, so we have some new designs still dropping, as you know. We have been pretty heavy in the drops. We're not gonna be quite so drop heavy this fall just because it's been a bit of chaos. We've been dropping, we had a drop today every Friday. We probably have another month's worth of new designs being dropped every Friday. So we just came out with a bunch of new colors and new patterns for sandals today. And then we have more patterns and more colors being dropped in various designs over the next couple of Fridays. So new stuff to tune in for.
Okay. And where can my followers and audience members find products or your shoes to purchase? So email, social, website, where can they go and purchase one of these for their kids?
Little Love Bug Company all day long. That's the best place to go. That's where everything is available. You can go to Little Love Bug Company Instagram. That's where you can kind of see all the drops. We have an amazing VIP Little Love Bug Facebook group. Lots of moms go on there and chat, whether it's about sizing, knowledge in general, SMOs, all sorts of things. A great place just for in general information on feet, shoes, all the things.
Perfect. Leslie, thank you so much for finally letting us get these babies on the podcast and, of course, having you. I'm looking forward to all the collection that you have coming up and, of course, seeing your brand grow. So, once again, thanks for hopping on to the podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for having me, and keep in touch. Keep those kiddos in barefoot shoes as long as you can.
I will. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Thank you.